She Is Serious, a podcast where we showcase female athletes and their impact beyond the game. Each week, we will be bringing on influential women in the world of sports and showing why they are so much more than athletes. My name is Taylor Hall. I'm a health and fitness influencer and collegiate athlete at Biola University. And this is my sis, my co-host, Ashley White. What's up, girl?
Hey, y'all. Hey, my name is Ashley White, a former student athlete manager for UNCW's women's basketball, a blogger, writer for Beautiful Ballers, and an advocate for women in sports. Thank you for tuning in weekly to She Is Serious podcast. And this is why female athletes are now to be taken seriously.
Hey, Steve! What's up? Today we are super excited to have on Dylan Gonzalez. You guys have probably seen her all over social media. She was a hooper at UNLV. She's an artist, and she is so much more than an athlete. So, Dylan, what's up? We're super excited to have you on today. How are you doing?
What's up, guys? Other than the fact that I lost my voice, I am in the highest of spirits, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. Yay! Girl, we know you're doing it all, so I'm sure you're like just exhausted going from place to place, doing your thing, making a difference. So first off, we want to start by asking, what is your sports story? Like, what got you into sports in the first place, and how has that played a role in your life?
Man, my sports story. It started, I think, with both of my parents being athletes professionally. My mother, she played at KU. She's actually on the all-time leading scorers list. And she also played professionally overseas in Germany before there was a WNBA. And then my father, he played in the NFL. He's actually in the Chiefs Hall of Fame. He was a cornerback. He played for the Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl. Go Chiefs.
Right, go
and he also played for the Raiders, and so that's kind of a ironic full circle that the Raiders ended up over here in my city in Vegas. But yeah, that's where I think it first started, was with them. And then my mother pretty much rolled the ball into my hands, and she really let me play every single sport. That's why even to this day I still play almost every single sport. I just chose to take one to the next level. So with basketball, to be honest, at one point it did feel more forced on me than I was trying to choose it. And it was because the path was just so laid out, and I really didn't have a choice if I wanted to like make it in life, or if I was just gonna, fall off and have this never-ending fall from grace. So there was a lot of pressure for me to kind of have to play basketball. A lot of people don't know, Dakota and I, we were both junior Olympians in volleyball, and we ran track and field, and we were really into the winter sports, so snowboarding, skiing, all that kind of stuff.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah. We grew up in Idaho, which was also really hard. Because it's not exactly the most friendly to people that aren't obviously and not so obviously a part of the culture up there. So when I grew up, like, again, sports was kind of my greatest outlet. That and creative, being a creative. So, like, I'm not even kidding you when I tell you I can create anything at any time for whatever reason. Don't even know. Just because it's on my mind.
You definitely are very creative, especially with both you and your sister. Y'all have creative music, which I love y'all music.
Okay.
So you have been like in the social media viral for years. How has, social media, like, and life as well, kind of affected your mental health in ways?
Ooh, social media. Once upon a time, social media was a place where people came to express, not to impress. And this really wasn't that long ago, but because everybody's in such a rush, because of how quickly the development of technology and our lifestyles have become. People are starting to age faster. So they're starting to get sicker quicker. And they're starting to have midlife crises way before the midlife. So everybody running around out here is in some state of confusion thanks to social media now, because we have started to design our life around an illusion. So for me, I've always maintained the same mentality because it was always like Monopoly. I knew none of this shit was real until everybody started to fuse the currency into the digital space. So now we have all the crypto stuff, and we have Apple Pay, and this. You don't even need a physical dollar anymore, for real. You don't even need a credit card.
It's crazy.
So when I think about social media, I'll say this: it's gonna fuck with everybody's head now because it's become a real thing, in the sense of money's involved, so now there's a higher value attached to it. And unfortunately, what the system teaches us is to value the dollar and to value money and to value valuables above any other thing out here, even yourself. So people are willing to prostitute themselves over anything for $1, and it's not even prostitution with some kind of sexually implicit connotation. I'm even talking when you do something that you don't really want to do or wouldn't normally choose for money. When you do something against your own will, when you do something against your heart, you are prostituting yourself. So that has become the culture. That is why that is the influence today. And that's why everybody is mentally going down, because we feel like we have to fit into this box or we're not going to succeed in life. We have to keep up. We have to keep up. So again, everybody's in a rush. And social media, I think because social media and I got popular at the same time, I like to say humbly, but if we're being for real, I popped that shit off. I'm the reason why people were attracted to social media in my avenue. And it was me and a whole lot of other people. But I was with that generation, which is literally like a couple years ahead of the generation now that gets to really excel, right? I'm talking 2017, 2016, 15, 14. That's really within the last decade.
Yeah.
2018. So social media now is putting everybody in an identity crisis. And because I was born in an identity crisis, I came in the world with twins. I already had figured out Dylan was doing it. And that's why I always have stayed authentic to who I am and stayed authentic to my brand. That's why you wouldn't catch me outside taking a penny off of social media. Because money is the cheapest thing on me. That's from TD Jakes this Sunday. Amen. So,
period.
Money is the cheapest thing on me. So why would I start allowing other random ass motherfuckers who I know I can't trust? Because again, I grew up in the real catfish era. So why would I allow these people I don't know to own me and have control over me? I always knew that the money I was a slave to. I always knew that the money everybody was a slave to. So if I got to choose who was going to own me, it wasn't going to be the motherfucking money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very particular about who I'll do business with, who I'll take money from, because you really can't trust everybody. That's why you won't see me out here participating in certain institutions in women's basketball, even if I get a knock on my door every day or whatever. You won't see me going and chasing it. I did at one point. I saw what it was, and that's all I needed to see. That's all I needed to see to know what these decisions were going to lead me if I chose to let money make me a slave. And I watched that happen to everybody online. In a position to really take advantage and build a model and build an infrastructure, because I went to school for business. So therefore, I already had a money mindset for a long time. That's why I keep having success, even when I really shouldn't have success. But God made other plans, so he already pre-prepared me for times like these and how to work smarter, not harder.
Amen.
And again, I know what my personal brand is. A lot of people they take their personal brands and they end up becoming slaves to their personal brands, and I call it the Hollywood effect.
Ooh.
So when it comes to like what you're signing up for, no, like, are you signing up for something like for real, or are you signing up for something Hollywood for yourself? So like, what are you really chasing? What do you really value? And like really sit down and contemplate those things. And I usually take, if I need to think about something, if I'm uncertain, I have a policy where I say, this is something social media taught me. Because I would be going back and forth with these trolls, y'all. The thing is, I'm one of the people who enjoys it. Like, I grew up being bullied, and I would bully the bullies who would like bully my friends. I would be the one that got in trouble for very obvious reasons. But I would always bully the bullies back. So I enjoyed that because they never fuck with me again. And they never fuck with my
like you
people
have to
again.
say something back.
Yeah, so when I saw this shit happening online, I was like, y'all don't know me. I'm the crazy one that'll really sometimes you think of life, right? So when I would get on there, I always would like find it. I was laughing, you guys. I would be on here saying whatever the fuck, just laughing my ass off. But I realized again, it kind of started giving me too much of a certain energy, and too much of anything is not a good thing. There's a balance that you have to have with shit. So with social media, everybody's so addicted to it, they don't have that balance anymore. And some people are going there because they have, like, we got all these different complexes in our identity, from inadequacy complexes that lead to eating disorders, that lead to, insecurities, that lead to just bad overall decisions. So it's like people don't really take full control over wanting to lead their own life. That's usually how you end up down the Hollywood effect. If you decide you're going to take responsibility, hold yourself accountable, find that balance, like acknowledge how things are affecting you mentally. Like when I got to that phase where social media was really taking me down mentally, because you start comparing your life for where you're supposed to be or where you think other people, like you start caring too much about external factors, thanks to it. External factors being the world, other people and what they think about you. And who knows, whatever deities you got around you think about you. Like, and then you ultimately just end up in this state of self-judgment. You start judging yourself. You start living a lie, essentially. At least that's what it feels like. And you start feeling like this isn't my life. But really, once I got to those modes, every time I would hit bottom mentally, the good thing about it was there was only one way to go, which was up. And every time I fell, I never fell as far again, because I just started promising myself, like, never forget what you already know. And, the higher you reach, the higher you grow. So anytime, it's like what Rocky said, like, it's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep on going.
Absolutely.
And social media is hitting people right now. It's hitting them really hard. And especially this next generation of young ladies, because that's who it's meant to target.
I remember talking to you last year too, like whenever you came down to the courts and you were playing with the professor, which that was so dope. Like that was my first time seeing you, meeting you, and I was like, I know I have to keep in contact with this girl because the amount of wisdom and experience that you have is just like so awesome, especially with this era of NIL. And I remember talking to you about this stuff too. Like, what do you think about what's going to happen? Because you were the originator, basically. Like, if NIL was happening during when you and your sister were in college, right? You guys would have blown up. So, what do you think is happening right now with these girls, and how do you think that they're able to separate their identity from that and social media, and then also stay sane throughout?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. All right. The NIL is a blessing and a curse because, again, people don't realize what they're really signing up to be slaves to. Everybody's so worried about the hype, about the name, about like everybody's just so worried about the hype. That's why when I go see a lot of these little ballers in real life, I'm like, y'all are all hype. I know the difference because I was all hype. Like I really was. Like when I was coming up through like high school stuff, don't get me wrong, like let me put it like this. Let me give myself some grace because I'm the shit. I really am. But from what I knew I could actually do versus what like the system was allowing me to do were two very different things. So to be in the top 100 or the top 50 versus to be number one was like, it wasn't enough for me. Well, I know I'm number one. Top 50, top 100 is not enough. But I grew up in Idaho. I didn't get to get seen. I didn't get to get out there. I didn't get real competition until about like my late high school level. where I'm basically getting ready to go into college. So I knew that there was just certain circumstances that I was going to have to outgrow, but the system had me fucked up. It had me fucked up. And to this day, I'm preparing to file a major class action lawsuit against them. Because a lot of people, they don't know the story. They don't know the TV shows I sold. They don't know all the times I lost my eligibility for things that other people were doing, but I had a platform, so I was considered a commercial establishment. So it's like they don't realize all the ways that the NCAA and my institution came in and basically like came in and violated me. And like the ways they beat us psychologically, and they did it again because that's what the system does to people who come from my culture, and it's still our month. So
Yeah, really.
so the system, I look at it as very racist because you look at the very talented, very gorgeous Cavendier twins. They saw all this coming. We were the blueprint. We were the sacrificial lambs for a setup for who was going to be next up to represent their culture. If our faces weren't going to be good enough to represent the culture because we weren't a part of it in their eyes. So on top of that, I would always speak out. I've always been very clear on stay strong, not silent. And that's even a hashtag that's out today of mine. I've always been that type of way. So when I saw how fucked up the system was treating me and people who looked like me especially, when I saw how fucked up the system was, when I saw how fucked up and disgusting and twisted these coaches were, when I witnessed all of that from a very real level, I already knew I was in a war and that I was going to be in one for a long time. And I knew that they were going to set these, try to switch it up. I knew when I left they were going to switch it up. I knew because I made too big of a statement. I made too big of a statement not going back for my final year. And people know, especially the people who have been following me for all this time, know I'm not that fucking delusional to just give up my last year of playing. Like, I'm not that delusional. There had to be a major reason. I had to be feeling suffocated. I had to have been violated of not only money, but again, my own sanity. I had to be really fucking put through it to make a decision like that, to give that up for myself. Because that was a very heartbreaking decision to make. But either way, I just always knew God had a bigger purpose behind all these decisions that I was making, and that I was ultimately meant to lead a path. So all I can say about where the girls are at, they need to come talk to me. And not even as like some kind of I'm not a fucking gatekeeper, but I'll be very real if I fuck with you or I don't. And if you don't fuck with me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy. You hit the nail with a lot of things. First of all, you know, the NCAA targets women, particularly Black women, people of color when it comes to institution, like with what you're saying too. And I noticed that, it's always noticeable over the years. Like women and women of color, they get, more punished for something so minor than say the men who do something so worse than what we do.
Oh, yeah.
And what y'all do. And the fact, yes, and you're absolutely right. Like, to me, I feel like the NCAA has this mindset like, we're the puppeteers, you guys are the puppets. We're gonna make money off of y'all, and you don't get a cent. We're just running the show. So
did you hear what you just said? Like, you guys realize that is the exact design of slavery. The exact design of slavery.
It's crazy.
It just keeps taking on a new mask and taking more people hostage. And every institution in America is designed like that, except for maybe some of these new up-and-coming ones. But every institution in America is designed like that, and that's also why in my business I want to make sure I didn't have a design like that. I wanted to make sure that it was constantly about giving and supporting the people, because at the end of the day, like, people have to take care of people. People need people. And the fact that we live under these regimes that are still operating on ancient slave tactics is crazy. And the more people that become aware of that, the more become a part of the movement of changing that. I have to also acknowledge history. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge history because it's too uncomfortable to talk about. So therefore, if you don't acknowledge history, you're denying me my experience, and you're going to continue operating in the same ways that you're used to operating in, that I'm telling you is a boundary for me. And that's the problem. People don't want to have to acknowledge when they're the bad guy. Everybody out here wants to be the victim of their own story.
Everybody wants to be the victim. And what you brought up is so true. A lot of people in college athletics don't realize, like, oh, we see them playing games. Like, college athletes get to travel, they get this and that. And no, it's not all what it seems. Like, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that's literally not talked about. And that's why we're here to talk about these things, because it needs to be addressed. People like you who have led the way and who've gone through it, like, you're like, we're not about this anymore. Like, we're trying to make a difference.
But I know for certain, at the end of the day, it's completely unfair treatment. It's completely unfair treatment, especially when the boys get away with this shit all the time. And as one of the unintentional recruiters to every university that I put a t-shirt on for, to every single one of them, I saw very closely and directly how the men were getting handled, what kind of money was getting put in their pockets, what kind of gifts, what things, how ways their parents were getting taken care of, jobs they were getting, like all these different benefits that just get hush-hushed. But then again, when it comes to the women, it's that same discrimination, that same force, that same energy that's coming in now and being like, no, we still get to own you, y'all slaves. You know, and it's like they still own the guys too, but there's no value to us. We're second-class citizens in their eyes, if that. So again, like, you can make example out of women, even for men, even for certain men. So it's like,
yeah, and we're gonna keep fighting back.
Yeah, and like, you'll see, I don't know what's going on. I'd have to be, like, obviously brought into the loop as to what's going on with infractions on the men's side. But I'm gonna tell you right now, they're snipers. They are snipers. They're gonna sit and wait to take their shot at you when the time comes.
Here's the thing. There are men that have made decisions on going to, colleges because of influence of money, because they were paid to go to this place, when probably that wasn't even their choice in the first place. They wanted to go somewhere, maybe somewhere else. But because they're getting paid to go there, like Dylan said, like you said, it's hush-hush, but when it comes to women, we're considered like we're
expendable. That's the thing. We're expendable.
So how were you able to use your platform that you built up during your college career throughout, like, your entire basketball journey? How were you able to use that in a positive light and bring that into your creator space and then use music to boost your career?
As far as my, like, platform goes, I look at it as like a support system more than like a clientele. And when I look at my supporters, they have given me so much belief that I feel an obligation to instill that belief in myself and to fulfill my fullest potential. I believe operating below my potential is a sin. So when it comes to how I get creative and these plans I make and these visions I have and these things I decide to execute on, I do it not just for myself, but to make all these people who have decided to get to know me over all this time, to make them proud, but to also, like, to feed their mind and bodies and souls, like, to give them something that is irreplaceable, that is intangible, and that is eternal. Because, like, a gift like that, aside from like a photo or an NFT or whatever, all these hype gadgets, a gift like that intention is forever. And you will get to have that forever. You will get to go back to that every time you need it. You will get to be reminded of it anywhere you seek it. And that's what I've been working on giving to the world. Because I just decided to follow my heart. And ultimately, I know a lot of people struggle with that. And again, when I look at all these people who come to me about advice for things or needing support of things or whatever, I just see so much of myself in them. I see so much in myself. And that's usually why I make statements like, I don't like fans. I can't stand fucking fans because fans are for everybody. And fans are the type of people that will try to own you and hoe you. So I don't fuck with fans. But I fuck with real love and I fuck with support, and I recognize the difference. And so when it comes to being fueled with that energy, you create things that you never could have imagined you were capable of creating. And I've really only ever been the only person, other than my twin sister here and there, I've really only been the only person on earth that's living right now, aside from Jesus, that has ever impressed myself. Or nobody ever has impressed me more than I've impressed myself. And if they have, then I recognize. And I'm like, damn, you're different, you know?
Right.
So for that reason, when you get to keep, like, that self-development is so amazing to me. It's so important to me because I want to keep not only impressing myself, but making sure that I impress all the people around me who are waiting to be impressed. Because I like to impress. Don't get me wrong, I don't do it for that. I like to impress because I love the joy that it brings people. Like, you know, when you're like watching the Olympics and you watch some crazy like ice skater doing all this stuff, or some gymnast or some track and field god or goddess, like when you watch these events and you watch these people doing these mind-blowing things and they have success, you're just like like losing your shit with excitement. Like that's joy. That's like pure joy. That's pure love. And that energy, it fuels me so much, and the world needs more of it. So I can't wait to be a reason why the world gets more of it.
I think you're starting to do that because honestly, there's a mantra I always say: aspire to inspire. So aspire yourself to inspire others. And I've seen that over the years with you, especially what you just say: stay strong, not silent. That's huge to me.
Huge.
So like, and you know, I see you just continue to inspire others. Like, I mean, a long time ago, I tweeted to you and your sister, like, that you guys are both role models, and just like both on and off the court, because it's a huge thing that to see someone just to, you know, you guys are more than humans. You know, at the end of the day, like, we're human first, and you know, the student athlete, the athlete is just a title. Like, we can't take that to the grave. We can't take that when we 6 feet under.
Try.
But like, we could try, but we can't take that at 6 feet under, because at the end of the day, we're just humans. But my thing is, I do have a question for you, is what would you say is the best compliment that you have ever received as, you know, both as a woman and an athlete?
You know, I think that there was two moments that really like struck my heart chord. And this is gonna sound so hilarious, you guys, because you're gonna be like, "What the heck?" Like, I was not expecting an answer like this. Oh, there was this moment. It was Christmas. I'm kidding you. This past Christmas, I get like, you know, support from all these different amazing companies like Ikea Water, Prime, Body Armor, and like these drink and supplement places that I'll take like the drinks and things that they'll send me in like mass loads. I'll take them to like the parks and like, you know, different like blighted communities and stuff like that. Give them to the kids and like hoop with them or teach them some skills. Basically, do little like camp type stuff, right?
I love that.
So over Christmas, like, yeah, all the kids are outside, right? So we go out to train, to do some of our own training, and then again, like, train some of the kids that would like to come up and learn from us. So there were these two young ladies, and they were so sweet. They come up. One of them was like on this little longboard, like, you know, riding it like it was a like little canoe or something. And the other one, she was just kind of like running around with her little hoodie on. So they come up, and the first one that comes up, her name was Arlena, and she was like, I'm Arlena. She's like, I want to learn how to play basketball. I was like, oh yeah? She was like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I give her my ball and teaching her some stuff. Then her sister comes over and she stops and she was like, this is my sister. And I was like, okay. I was like, hey, sister. I was like, what's your sister's name? She goes, Miracle. I go, oh, hey, Miracle. Thanks for the blessings. It's Christmas, right? So we start hooping and they start learning. And they start telling us that they're twins, even though they weren't. But they were so cute. They're like, yeah, you can call us LaShawn 1 and LaShawn 2. Now, before we get started, and this was the moment that really like clicked for me and gave me like, it was the most amazing compliment, and also just like it shifted something in me. Like it actually moved me. Like it was more than a compliment. And again, this is going to sound probably very silly, but a lot of my mixed race and Afro-Latina and Caribbean and African-American ladies will understand me. I'm sitting there, I have a do-rag on and a hat on and a hood on, right? So they don't even really know what I look like under this. They're just reading my energy. So Arlena has like her little hood on. So she goes up to me and she was like, I want to see what's under your hood. I want to see your hair. And I'm like, oh my gosh, child, no, because I had my hair in all these little like braids that you see the NBA players wearing, right? Like my little short braids, and my hair was all scrunched up and looking like crazy from my point of view, right? So I was like, really? She was like, yeah, yeah. She's like getting all happy. I was like, damn, I really have to take this off right now in front of all these people. So I'm like challenging her and I'm like, all right. I was like, I said, you go first. I was like, then I'll do it. So she just immediately goes, whoosh, and like takes her hood off. I'm like, dang, that was very confident. Her hair was so cute too. So no wonder. I was like, okay. So then I'm sitting there and I'm like slowly like peeling my stuff off. Because this is not like a version of myself that I normally step outside or like let other people see. So even though I'm comfortable with it, I'm not comfortable with it in front of other people, because other people are just ew. They're so judgmental when they don't see you as the image that they're used to seeing you as. So I was like, whatever. So I take it off and I like shake my braids down and I'm just like smiling at him. And Miracle like goes like this. She like puts across her arms. She looks at me and she goes, it looks fine. Oh my gosh. It literally like cracked me up so hard. And it also just like, again, it instilled this confidence in me, right? Like she didn't even realize she was complimenting me in that moment. She's like wondering like, why are you being so funny about it? Why can't you just show us your hair? Your hair looks fine. Like you did all that for what, right? Like that's really what her tone and attitude was telling me. But it was really the biggest compliment to me. And so I just started laughing and I was like, yeah, I think so. And she was like, yeah. And it was just such a heartfelt moment. Because again, like even thanks to social media and the culture and the ways of the world, like I'm really only accepted as one version of myself. I'm not accepted as all versions of myself. And all versions of myself, people aren't used to seeing, because we aren't willing to display images of it because it doesn't match a certain beauty agenda. So it's like you won't see certain things like to the rawness of like what this culture is. You'll see it in its Hollywood glorified effect, and that's it. So that people have to try to buy all these products and these accessories and to try to fit this image of something. So like when you grow up and you don't see anything that looks like you as beautiful, even you start to fall in love with the image of yourself that's the most accepted. So you don't see yourself like how the world sees you. And again, that also is a part of an identity crisis. So when she said that to me, even though I was good with myself, like again, by myself, it really like just struck my heart so deeply and just shifted how I even viewed being that version of myself in front of other people. And like genuinely not giving a fuck about what they thought. And like, knowing that why was I tripping? Like I had like a why you tripping moment. And it was like everything I didn't even know I needed. And so I was like, Thank you, Miracle. Thank you for the reminder.
Wow.
Thank you, girl. It was just such a
So
great
sweet.
reminder, and it was so pure. You know, it was so pure and so real. And then the second one, I got complimented after the Ball Dogs game by a little baller himself, and he tells me, "You're the best female basketball player I've ever seen." And I was like, "You've ever seen?" And he was like, "Ever." I was like, "Shut up." And that was a major compliment because, you know, I've always been very underestimated in my game. I was actually overrated, but I was underestimated for what I've really been capable of. And playing with guys has actually really helped me just like stay on that beast mode. And I'm really excited to get to train with Hot Sauce. I'm excited to get to train. Well, he probably doesn't know that I'm trying to finesse that right now, but I'm putting it out there. So excited to train with Hot Sauce. And I'm excited to train with my girl Ivory Lotta, who, if you guys do not know,
Yes, UNC legend. UNC legend.
She's fucking
my
nasty.
God.
She's amazing, and I can't wait. She's got the biggest heart ever, and she inspired me like no other. And I can't wait for her to like awaken more of that beast in me, and help me incorporate it more and more into my game. Because once I got like my mental down, and another thing to add to how social media affects the mental health is it becomes a distraction. It becomes so much of a distraction that you're not able to mentally lock in and focus on the things you really need to focus on. So you start to spend more and more time on social media, and because you start getting further away from your actual goals. Anyways, her helping me with my, just my focus and again, with my tenacity and my overall fitness and shape, I'm really looking forward to and seeing, who I come out on the other side of. Because who I am right now is already freaking crazy from the development I've had since like my college days. Just because I don't just play basketball anymore. You know what I'm saying? I do so many other things that make me a better basketball player.
That comes to that question. How are you more than an athlete?
I'm a divine breed, just to get you up to speed. I'd say I'd say what makes me more than an athlete is other than my physical plane, which is the athlete side to me, obviously, like the supernatural model athlete. I would say it's about my mind and my soul and my spirit. Like that's what makes me more than an athlete. I have consciousness, I have awareness, I have a vision, I have a heart and a soul, so I have compassion. I have a mind, so I have intellect. I have knowledge, I have wisdom, and I get to be a student, a student eternally. And also, what makes me more than an athlete is that I have Christ in my life.
Yes, Lord.
That's it.
And that's it. Amen.
I love that you said you're a constant student because we're always learning. Like I heard someone say one time, like if I'm ever in the smartest one in the room, then I'm in the wrong room. Because I should always be constantly growing and learning something every single day. So being an athlete is a huge part of you, and I know that you're always going to be an athlete, and that's always going to be something that you carry throughout your life. But just hearing too that you're able to inspire even young men, like young men are looking up to women and be like, "Oh, you're dope! Like you can hoop," and it's so cool to see that you're inspiring the next generation as well. And you have so much wisdom. I just want to pick your brain for hours. I feel like we could sit here for hours. Like all the things you say, I'm like little nuggets here and there. I'm like taking notes over here. Like you just have so many good things to say and so much inspiration for us and for everyone out there. So we appreciate you and we love what you're doing on and off the court. We cannot wait to share your story of why you are more than an athlete with all of our sisters out there.
Go sisters.
Go sisters.
And this is why we women athletes and women in sports need to be taken seriously.
They're gonna find out. They're gonna find out real soon. We are the generation here to claim that, to claim all that's been owed.
We're here to stay. Well, if you guys haven't already, make sure you go follow Dylan on all of her social platforms. Keep up with the empire that she's building. You know the deal. Hashtag you know the deal.
Yeah, that's right.
And we appreciate you, girl. We appreciate it. And we hope you guys tune in next week. Every Tuesday, baby. New episodes dropping. So make sure you guys are in for that on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next
And
time.
subscribe to YouTube.
Don't forget, baby. Peace.